So I got the rotary laser set up out there, and I figured if you can use the grade stick for finding things on the ground, the height of things off the ground, you should be able to find the height of things going up as well. So I put a screw, you can see right there where the builder had made the chalk line for the existing roof. So I extended this one over as well on this ledger where the ceiling joist attached. So I put a screw right at the top of that line and a screw at the top of that line. Then I'm going to use my grade stick up against there. And you can see that's pretty good right there. So now I'm going to go down to the other end, use the same thing, and I'm going to hopefully not drop this thing. Let me put that right there on the nail I cut off. Here's that one right there. Now hopefully the ladder does not interfere with the laser beam. So I'm going to take this up against the wall, turn and face the wall, and bring it down right there. You hear the steady beep, then a pencil mark. And put a screw in right there. And that's going to be my chalk line that goes all the way down there to get that ledger at the right height and perfectly level with the world. So now I'm going to go over here, reset the laser, and do the same thing for the board or the ledger that holds up the ceiling joist. So let's take a look here. So let's just call that like right about there. That'll give me a rough idea of where this has to go. Seems like no matter where I set the laser up, I'm always on a place where the sensor needs to be at the joint between the two sections. Don't know why that is, but it seems like that's the way it always is. If you look, you might not be able to see it on camera, but I can see the mark on the wall from the laser right there. That's so sensitive. I'm just going to call that good right there. Right there. There's the two marks. All I gotta say is this laser level has been one of my best investments so far. What a nice thing. It's so easy to use, and it's accurate, and at applied OCD, accuracy is paramount above most everything else. Right there. That's pretty good. I think we're good. So there's the top of the ledger is going to go here, top of the ledger here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of blocks of wood and just temporarily screw them to the house wherever the board goes. I'm going to use two 10-foot boards. This is 18 feet from down there to the corner of the house, and I want to project that ledger off the house so that it can be used to support the gable end overhang on this side of the porch. So this, I'm going to use two 10-footers. So I'll go down there and I'll measure from the existing one 10 feet, make a mark, and I'll put a block of wood right there, a long one, Put one down at the other end, one in the middle, and one down here. That way I can carry the board up, boom, set it right on the blocks, and then I can adjust it up or down with some shims to get it to the exact height of the screw, and then go ahead and put it into the wall with some of those Spax power lag screws that I've been using a lot of around here. Well, I see a slight error in my ways. So I put the screw just above the line, but that made my chalk line up a little bit higher. So that's not good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move that screw down so that it's on center with the line. That way, the chalk line will be on center with the line. See what I mean? Good thing I made the line long enough. I've already snapped a chalk line on the upper one. I'm going to do this lower one right now, and then we can put some blocks on the wall, some temporary blocks to support the new ledger. And I'm going to bring the top of the new ledger right up here to the bottom of that screw and establish the level line of that board. I'm going to go on the bottom of that screw, and there's the line. That's going to be the top of the board that lines up with here, and then the top of this 2x10 ledger is going to line up with that red mark, which I extended from here down to there. So should be ready to put some temporary blocks up here just to hold that board, and we'll get started. I'm seeing some nails, roofing nails that were used to hold the siding on, that I must have pulled through the siding when I was stripping that off. I got to go back, get that taken off of there. So there's my 9.5 inch mark. That looks pretty level. I brought some shims so we can bring it up a little bit. So this should catch the edge of the board on the right and the edge of the board that goes to the left. I knew it! every time you think that everything is in position, ready to go, you gotta stop. Every single time. Every time. Not some of the time, or maybe most of the time. All the time. All the stinking time. There. Now we're ready to go. Let's try this again. Shall we? Neighbor's probably thinking I'm crazy out here talking to myself. Well, I guess maybe that's partially true. Well, it actually worked out pretty good. Well, as long as that'll stay there while I move down to the other end, should be in good shape. This one may require 2 shifts. For whatever reason. Pretty well. Oh, there it is. I was looking for my other shim. Let's see if this will work. I got a 3/8 by 1/4 inch adapter, an extension, a universal, and a T40 bit. Let's see if it'll work. Hope it does. Oh yeah. Lovely. Perfect. This one I used 2 8-foot pieces of lumber, and then I've got a little section right in here that needs to be done. I thought about just going ahead and just making a square cut right up there. But then I thought, you know, if the name of my channel is Applied OCD, that's just not right. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut a piece that fits in there, and I'm going to notch it so that it fits out perfectly in that little gap right there. Because when this is all covered up, I will know that there's a spot right there that doesn't have wood covering the house. So that's what I'm going to do. I got another, you might be able to see it right up here. Let me just put the camera up there. You can see that screw right there, and there's my line. And then the chalk line is right there. So that establishes the height of the lower ledger that will attach these, I call them ceiling joists. It's just places to where I can attach the ceiling inside the porch. I'm going to use perforated soffit material just like is what's on the house right there, and just 12-foot pieces, however many I have to put in here. Cover that up real nice. It'll allow a little bit of ventilation in that roof cavity, which is attached to the garage right there. So any of that heat can kind of filter up through the garage and out the doors. So that's good enough. So I'm going to go ahead, get the screw gun out, finish putting in those, and then make that piece and get that hung up there. And then for next time, which is going to be probably tomorrow morning, I'm going to go ahead and start fabricating this boxed in beam right here that's going to hold the tails of the rafters. So I kind of notched this out here, so you see I've got a stagger step from the bottom piece to the side to the other side right there. That's to try to tie all those in without having just a plain old butt joint. And I'm probably going to take a couple pieces of 2x4, put in here, or 2x10, put them in there to take up that space, which is probably going to be something to where I'm going to have to glue a couple of pieces of 2x10 together and then machine them to the right thickness to fit in here perfectly and tie all that together so you have a nice strong joint in that spot. And I can put lots of screws in there from both sides and really stiffen that up, because this piece is all, this beam is going to have to be all fabricated in my shop. I'm going to do that tomorrow. It's supposed to be super hot outside, so I'm going to go ahead and work out there in the shop where I can at least be in the shade and go ahead and build that beam out there. Then I'll bring it out with a tractor and then establish the height of some columns on there to hold it in place sturdy enough so that I can build the rafters and the ceiling joist to attach that all up there together. Alrighty, we're good to go. So today I'm going to be working on the beam to support the porch roof, and I've got a drawing right here that I made up, just something on the tabletop. This shows the details of the corner of the beam where the main beam meets the end one that runs east and west. This is the north-south. So then you can see right here I have a 8 1/4 offset from the original beam that's still on the house. And then I'm going to have a joint here, and then one here, and then I'm going to make some blocks to fit in between here to fill up this space, because this distance from here to here is going to be 5.5, which is the width of those 2x6s right there. So I got things chosen, looked over the wood that I had, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't pick it out. It was one of those things where I gave the lumberyard the order, how many of this, how many of that, and they just built the load and send it over to my house. So there's one of them, that one right there on the sawhorses is, I'm not going to use that because it's too bowed and warped and twisted and all that stuff. So these are the best of the best right here. I laid them out on the floor, kind of in their approximate positions. This is the offset you can see is right there. And then I roughly laid out the locations of where the rafters are going to be every 24 inches on this one, because what I want to do is I'm going to make some filler blocks out of 2x4 on edge. I'm going to rip them to the right width to fit in here, which happens to be about 2 inches. And then those are going to go vertically in here, screwed or nailed from the outside. And then I'll be able to put the rafter right up against that and screw that in real good. And then I'll trim the top of it off so that it's flush with the roof deck, or the top of the rafter. So there's going to be a filler block here to here on this one, and a filler block here to here on this one. The joints are staggered about 6 feet. And I'm going to use those 5.5 inch or 5 inch power lag screws like I've been using on the ledgers and stuff like that in the house, or on the house. And that's how it's going to be built. So today I'm going to take some construction adhesive and I'm going to build these blocks. I've cut some scrap pieces like the tail end of that board right there, and just pieces I had laying around. Actually, I used a couple pieces off of the old end beam that was at the 12-foot mark when I started the demo of the project. So I'm going to build those up, use some construction adhesive. We're going to clamp them together real good, and then I'm going to run them across my wood planer, and we're going to plane them down to 2.5 inches, or I'm sorry, 2 inches approximately, probably a little bit less, just so that I don't have to fight trying to get them in there and end up with them too wide. So they're probably going to be just a little bit under 2 inches to allow for ease of assembly. Whew. Man, those are really bad. Look at how that's got a big huge gap in there. Try to make these things sort of fit together halfway decent. That's not going to be it. One of these is really bad. That's this one. Well, that's actually pretty good right there. Maybe I'll go ahead and just glue those together just like that. They're not perfectly the same length on the ends, but that's not a big deal. But what will be a big deal is this little gap, this step right here, because none of these are the same width. It seems like they're plus or minus a 1/4 inch. So once I get this made up, once it's all glued up and set and everything, I'll run it across the table saw and get these edges squared up with each other. This one should be fine. I'll glue it and clamp it together in this position, and then we'll be all right. Oh, I forgot something here. I've got a couple of these aluminum nails right there that I need to dig out. Hey, look at that. Those little white painted aluminum trim nails. Oh my goodness. You could put a pole barn together with some of them. Let's see if I can get this one to come. Oh yeah. Want to make sure there's no metal in here, especially ferrous metal. Aluminum, I could probably run that through the planer and not have any issues, but steel, it's bad news. And there you go. 2 scabs, or splice pieces, whatever you want to call them. Just waiting for the glue to set up, and then once that happens, we'll machine those to fit inside between the 2 outer boards, and then we'll be ready to assemble the beam. So the glue is all set up on the splice plates right here. I went ahead and planed those down to the correct thickness to give the spacing that will match, or pretty closely match, the width of that 2x6 that's going to go along the bottom of the beam. But look at that board. Look how it's bowed right in here. It's just, I don't know. I'm really struggling with this because I have to accept that it's not going to be perfect, and that doesn't sit well with me. I just got a string on there. You can see I've got a little bit of a gap over here, and it's pretty good down the other end. So I've put these splice pieces on there with a couple of construction screws in the middle just to hold them in place. Did that here. This one I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in it right now. Then these other boards, this one and that one, are going to go just the way they are, just right on top of there like that. And those are the marks that they need to line up with to give me the different spacings that I need. So yeah, this has been a real struggle because of the imperfections of the lumber that you get. I'm used to doing things that are very precise, very straight, square, aligned, perfect, all that sort of stuff. And I just have to come to the realization that this beam is not going to be perfect, but it's going to be as perfect as I can possibly get it with the materials that I have got to work with. So at the end of the day, I just have to accept that and move on. And the only person that's going to know that this isn't absolutely perfect is me and all of my thousands of subscribers. That was a joke. I will say one thing. If you compare these grip fast screws that I got from Menards compared to the Spax construction screws that basically say the same thing, these are much beefier, and they've got a T30 Torx drive socket on them. The Spax screws have a T20, and I used a Bosch impact bit like this one that was a T20, and I used it for several screws, or many screws, and then just this evening the tip broke off of it. I mean, it broke off flush with the head of the screw. So okay, fine, go in the house here, grab me another bit, T20, put it in there, one screw. I drove one screw and the bit broke off right at the insertion depth. Boop. Just like that, gone. One bit, $2 and some odd cents. There you have it. All right, well, we're good here as far as screws. I've got these in there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay out some lines across here so that I get the nails where I want. And I'm gonna nail this bad boy all the way down there. It's gonna look like an airplane with so many rivets in it. Do that, then I'm gonna put some bigger lags across these splicing pieces in here, and then I think this beam is pretty much done. I mean, for now, These pieces here, I left this one long. This is the tail end that's going to be out on the north end of the porch. So these I'm going to cut at assembly, square everything up, cut these at assembly, and then make my beam that goes over to the house. Down there at the other end, this bottom board, well this I'll do the same. I'm going to bring this down wherever these fall here, wherever my beam ends up this way. I'm going to take a small piece here and I'll miter it, and then I'll miter the bottom board that goes back over to the house. So that'll be a nice solid, nice looking corner. I'll do the same at the other end. I'll cut that at assembly, and then we should be good to go. We'll be ready to put this beam up here in the next day or so, and that should be an interesting project because most likely I'm going to do it by myself, lift it up with the Kubota tractor with the front end loader, and try to set it in place myself. But there's going to be some prep work that goes on before that. I have to put up some temporary posts. I'm going to just reuse the posts that I took off the turn spindles, 4x4, put those in there, get them braced diagonally both directions so that they're sturdy and this beam's not just going to topple off of it. And then we'll go out there and try to set it in place and get a couple fasteners in it to hold it. And then once that's set in place, I think we're going to be in business. Then things are really going to start happening. I'll be able to start to cut all my rafters and all the ceiling joists and all that stuff, and that should make some good progress. Be able to finally get something done on this project. Seems like it's been a slow and tedious process getting started on this. I just want to make some progress and get this job done. fascia board on the front by the eaves. I have to go up. I got to go in and then under that.
Okay. Turn that way.
Turn right or left?
You're slanted this way.
Okay, so I gotta go left.
Yeah, turn left. That's pretty good.
Right?
You're almost touching these right here.
Okay, let me keep an eye on that end right there.
Okay. Pretty close.
I'm gonna tilt forward.
Okay.
And I can come up some more.
Yep.
As long as I don't hit the post.
Yeah, pretty close.
Can I come in some?
Yeah, you can come in probably 8 inches to a foot. Go up under that one too.
What's that, Mike?
You'll have to come up under this one. You're about an inch away from this.
Okay. I wonder if I'm gonna try to pick up and then roll forward a little bit if I can. I'm gonna tilt forward.
Okay.
Up again. I'm going to try to come in as far as I can.
So this is going to rest on top of those supports?
Yeah.
Okay. You're touching here and there.
Okay.
I don't know how hard it would. Well,
I can come in some more here. I think what I want to do is loosen this clamp and slide this further back on the porch. Then I'll come in some more. And then I think we're going to have to raise it up. We're going to have to slide it this way to get that 2 inches or whatever down there to engage it here. Sure. Then I think we might be able to manhandle it in.
Sure.
Because I just want to make sure that these are far enough beyond the post over here. So,
do you think we could pull it out a little and rest it on those and slide it in? You think it'd be too much weight?
Too much weight.
Yeah, you're right there.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay. Slide this back down. Okay, that's good. So I should be able to come in a little bit and kind of go up and just basically kind of inch this thing up in there.
And then we can slide it.
Yeah.
That'll do.
Black, hope you're watching me. Do that battle roll. I'm going to try to come in.
Oh, make contact right there.
All right. Easy.
Go up. Yeah, a little more or go forward again.
Come up some?
You can come up another 2 inches or so. You come forward. You might be good if you come straight forward. It might rest right on top.
Yeah, it looks like it's close.
Right there. Now if you set it down, you might be good.
Yeah, I'll come down easy.
There. That's almost perfect. I think if you take your works. It's almost spot on.
I think I'd just leave the porch right where they're at.
Well,
Right now, the porch are at the
That's a good point.
I can come in some more here. I think what I want to do is loosen this clamp and slide this further back on the porch. Then I'll come in some more. And then I think we're going to have to raise it up. We're going to have to slide it this way to get that 2 inches or whatever down there to engage in here. Then I think we might be able to manhandle it in because I just want to make sure that these are far enough beyond the post over here. So,
you think we could?
okay, you ready?
Ready.